think I know just the place.
What up? Gotta out-angle me as always. Alright, so we're back, and today's gonna be a quick one. We're gonna be covering a few quick topics here. So I want to get into neglecting body parts. So as a bodybuilder, this isn't something most of us would do, but in terms of people who have individual goals for, let's just say you're coming into the gym and you're like, I don't care about my legs, I just want to train my chest, and I don't care about my shoulders, I just want to train my chest, and I don't care about my back, I just want to get a chest pump, and I just want to be jacked and juicy by bench pressing. And if that's the way you want to go, so be it, that's your goal. But we're here to disprove why you should not want to have just that goal. Although it is a good goal to have, it keeps you healthy and it gets you in the gym. So on that note, we're going to dive into this. And the other two lead-ups to that is just going to be prehab and post-hab. A lot of people neglect this stuff tremendously, and they don't realize how important it is. Pre and post-hab is going to optimize your workout and help recovery. He's going to really smash that.
Yep.
So pretty much think about this. You got synergistic muscles, and these guys are all kind of working together. And what happens is, everybody's going to sit there and say the bench press, right? Oh, I'm just sitting there and I'm bench pressing. Yeah, I'm working out my chest. But you don't realize that you have, anterior delt, tricep, and a lot of, stability muscles that are going to recruit, scapula, the rotator cuff muscles. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in this bench press that you might not be aware of. So, let's just say you're cruising, you're getting a set of 10 to 12, and that's going to be your rep range. The next thing you know, you get to 10, 11 reps, your chest is gassed, but you still try and get that last rep, and you're relying on these synergistic secondary muscles that are helping move. They're not the primary movers, they're the secondary movers, and you're now going to rely on this system.
And that's what's going to complete the rep once you reach that point of fatigue.
Right, exactly. So then what's going to happen is you're going to reach this system of relying on these muscles, and you don't train this system, because you've only really cared about training your chest.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the risk of injury is going to go up tremendously with that. And, this can be addressed with numerous different things, especially with prehab and post-hab exercises and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. Like, for example, give them just a few, run them through things you could do on chest day, just for warming up the shoulders, the shoulder complex.
You're just going to go through a shoulder complex, external rotation, internal rotation. A lot of scapular retraction stuff, just to get yourself into that position.
And what we mean is scapular retraction here,
Mm-hmm.
protraction would be this way.
Mm-hmm. And you got to get yourself in that position in order to make that bench press. And an important part of that is going to be that prehab and that shoulder complex.
Right, and then once you get these warmed up, they're primed. Again, I like to bring up this analogy that you go watch the lions in the jungle, and when they're hunting, they don't just run up and chase a gazelle. They prime themselves before they chase this gazelle, because it's just human instinct and human nature. It just makes sense. You need to prime systems before they're ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to break this down even further. So a lot of people, I see this and this is maybe controversial, because powerlifters can be so good at their three main lifts, squat, bench, and dead, and a lot of people will come into the gym and they'll squat, bench, and dead. They don't really care about accessory lifts. They won't really train arms, and the problem with that is, I would like to. A study we would like to, do, one of the studies, we got a lot of things we're cooking, but one of the studies I'd like to do, him and I, see how these people are training at this elite level, take the people that are getting injured, and start to draw and develop a pool of who's neglecting the arms. Is it the people that are getting injured or not? Just to, go through that and see how that is with the elite powerlifters, because you do see a lot of tricep and chest tears on, even the 3 attempts, because first attempt's going to be like 80-85%.
Yeah.
You're going to smash it, but like you're at this point now where it's not a weight that the chest can just manhandle.
And this goes for anything. This can go. I mean, this translates right into your legs. Are your quads stronger than your hamstrings?
Exactly.
Are your hamstrings stronger than your quads? Are you doing front squats? Are you doing the anterior loaded exercises? Are you doing high bar squats with your low bar squat?
Yep.
Okay. If you're not doing that stuff, you have to realize that there comes a point where something is going to pass another thing, and if your quads pass your hamstrings, it's only a matter of time, man, until you're looking at an injury.
Right.
So,
the imbalance that develops.
Mm-hmm.
And then the problem is people will sit there and they'll continue to train in that way, and then this turns into that. And then you get bad problems. And then the prime example, you get a lot of people, because they come in and they bench press so much, they sit there and they walk around like this because they have anterior and protraction going on, like it's just a rounding of the shoulders.
And you can look at that with anybody. I mean, even people that don't train, their scapula are protracted, their posture's terrible, and their head's down like this. Okay, what we want to pull our shoulders back, depress them, retract them, and keep that head up and tucked.
Right.
And you're not going to be doing that if you're training 5, 6, 7 sets of chest a week, 20 sets of chest a week, and 6 sets of back. That's not going to happen.
No, right. It's just going to create an imbalance. And then, you can think about this as like these little muscles in the background. They're like those guys that if you're neglecting them, they're like those guys that are on the football team. And I was guilty of this at one point. I used to stand behind the other guys that I knew were going to get picked to go in because I didn't want to go in. I just didn't want to go in. So, think about that. If you're neglecting it, these muscles inevitably are going to get recruited. Like I was, choice or not, I was getting thrown at the football field. I had to go up against guys I didn't want to, and it was so be it. But I didn't have a choice. So at some point in time, when you're on these bench presses or pull downs, squats, deadlifts, anything like this, you're going to have a breakdown, and it could be very well due to an imbalance. And this is just huge. So to say that you don't need to train arms or you don't need to train hamstrings
just because you train in one modality,
right? I squat, so I do train all that. No. It just goes far beyond that. Plyometrics, isolations, unilateral, bilateral exercises, all sorts of different things.
Eccentrics, isometrics. You got to train in all ranges of motion and in all forms of tension.
And then so then lead into that. Now let's go into the prehab stuff. A lot of people will come into the gym. Now, granted, in the summertime, you might be able to get away with this a little bit more, just because of this warmer weather. So your joints are going to be naturally warmer and lubricated. You might be inclined to think that, statistically speaking, we are outside more when it's warmer weather. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be moving around more.
Yeah.
So that just promotes blood flow. You have operations in your body that detect this movement of these joints, and this fluid will go in there and it will lubricate the joints and help, and then the blood flow goes and it starts to create warmth and saturate, all sorts of different things that it's going to do. And when it's cold out, maybe not so much, but at the end of the day, if you're just coming into the gym and not doing these things, you're not going to be primed.
Let's just put it this way, you're probably not doing enough right now.
No, not at all.
You're probably not. My extensive warm-up, whether it be shoulder complex, hip complex, even a foot complex, that'll take between 15 and 20 minutes alone before I touch anything.
Yep.
And before that, I'll do some yoga stretches and myofascial stretching. Mm-hmm. So you're probably not doing enough. And these little post-workout cool downs that you're doing, those aren't going to be enough to save you from an injury either. Most likely. I mean, I don't know your situation. You might be 16 years old and feeling great and got all the testosterone in the world, but the reality is that not everybody's like that. And if you're just coming in and throwing a few deltoids and then hopping on the bench, you are betting on yourself to get an injury. Let's just put it that way.
So bottom line is, what you want to do here is you want to address each aspect of your workout. So you can't just come in and say, well, I'm going to be rushed, so I'm just going to do this. No, it's actually, this is when things like this happen, we have a term for this. and it's just where you might have to adjust. So like perfect example for that, you might want to skip warming up just because you've just ran out of time and you have a lunch workout. So the next thing you know, you're running into the gym. You're like, I'm not gonna. I totally skipped the warm. Let's just do this. Boom, 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 and then you're running right in there. But there's, you now have a variation. So with that variation, how do you react to that?
Yeah, and let's just put it this way: if you're getting lunch workouts in or something like that, for your long-term health, you're probably better off just doing the shoulder complex, the hip complex, everything like that.
Right.
Find a different time to do your workout if you can't spend an hour and a half in there.
Right.
I mean, people say, oh, you get done in 45 minutes. You get done in 45 minutes if you walk in the gym, grab the 35-pound dumbbells and start curling. But if that's how you're going to attack these things, it's only a matter of time. If I were a betting man, I'd put a lot of money on you. And yeah, you find a different time to work out if you can't do these things. You got to make time for it, because if this is truly your goal, whatever your goal may be in here, you have to make time for doing the correct things before and afterwards.
Yeah, so let's see if we missed any points here. So yeah, the last thing I want to talk about here, we did miss one thing. So, with training everything evenly. Now, I want to talk about optimization here. You're not going into the, we're always talking about this, but you're not going to go into the gym and not be optimizing your workout. And if you are, well, let's just say you're a yo-yo at that point. You're just up and down, and I see it a lot, and it's unfortunate, but that's just the way life works, I guess. So when everything's trained evenly, what happens is now with the chest, let's go back to that set, right? The chest is going to give out at some point. It's the primary mover on the bench press. I always am going to relate back to this because it's so easy for most people to relate to, because a lot of people skip leg day. So
everybody does bench.
Yeah, it's just international chest
everybody
day.
does bench
Mondays.
We got squats on Monday.
Yeah, we do leg day on Monday, but going into that, volume is going to increase. Your ability to handle more load, whether it be in a lower rep range or a higher rep range, when everything is trained in conjunction with each other proportionately, because obviously your triceps and your delts are not going to be moving 600-pound bench press primarily. Your chest is. That's going to be taking most of the load. We know this. They're going to be percentage-wise different, but if the chest is constantly having to take 100% of the load when it really needs to be like 80, 20, 10, and you're constantly making it take 95, 2.5, 1, you know what I mean? Like, that's no good with the tricep and the delt.
And let's say that your chest is taking 85% of the load. Okay, so that leaves 15% of the load for the tris and the delts. So,
right.
Let's say that your delts are stronger than your triceps.
There you go.
Okay, then your delts are handling more of a load.
And that gets even further. And they're the smallest muscle of the group. You need to have the least amount of load on this anterior delt, second most load on the triceps. Primary mover is going to be the chest. So you break it down in this order, like he just said. Now, let's just say because you bench press so much, in the fashion that you bench press, because you're a really wide grip bench presser and you don't tuck your elbows all that much, you have really developed anterior delts and your pecs, but you have really underdeveloped your triceps. You're going to follow exactly what he's talking about, and I will be a betting man that you're going to have a rotator cuff injury. And it's not going to be because of the bench press. It's going to be because of the way you're training the bench press. So now you know when everything's in conjunction and proportional with each other, you're going to prevent injury, and you're also going to be able to train you're going to be able to train more volume, and you're going to recover better, just because everything's going to be optimally fried, not just like overtrained and undertrained. There you go.
There you go.
So the last thing too, eccentrics. He hinted on it earlier. They're huge. You're going to be able to optimize this area.
Yeah. So one pro call I was just doing before, I was on the prone hamstring curl, and 1 second up, hold, in the middle, hold. At the bottom, hold, and keeping that tension, keeping that kinetic chain all the way through, because you want that tension at all lengths of the muscle. Okay, if you're just going to squeeze your tricep here, okay, and that's the only form of isometric tension that you have. What happens when you're trying to lock out a bench press and you're stuck here?
Right.
Okay, you're not hitting that.
No,
okay, so you need to be training all modalities through the full range of motion.
And with that, when everything's in proportion with each other, you can spend more time in this mode. Eccentrics are studied to be the most damaging to the muscle. What do we mean by damaging? That's a bad coin. It's not really a term that you should think of negatively. Kind of like I had a teacher one time when I was over training at another gym a long time ago, and she used to hate the word fail. I used to say, we're going to go to failure. And she hated it because she's like, no, I'm a teacher in school. We don't like the word fail. So she was like, oh, let's use a different word.
Not succeed.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, we're just going to hit PBs every time. Personal best. We're going to go for 20, whatever reps or whatever it was that day. But so you're going to be able to spend more time in that. It's showing to build more muscle, and it's showing to prevent injuries too, because the eccentric phase is the slowing down phase. Mm-hmm. So it's huge in sports for athletics. So yeah, on that note, I think we've hit it all. Anything else?
I'm good.
All right. Out.
All right, ladies and gents.